Good morning, I'm Bear with preparedness.com. If you're new here, don't be a slug. Hit the subscribe button, ring the little bell icon. That way YouTube will pretend to notify you when we go live. If you're not new here, what the hell, man? Why not you? How come you're not sharing the show? I know you are. I'm just giving you a hard time. It's Friday. Everybody put a smile on your face. We're going to talk about the border and why that truck sounds terrible and do some national intel. Sound good? Yeah, sounds good, Bear. Let's do that. All right, cool. A new record has been set. So far, there have been more than 2 million migrant encounters at the border this year alone. By the way, it's August. Last year, which was also a record-setting year, 1.2 million encounters had been recorded by this time. So that's just what, 60% increase? Texas and Arizona have both bused illegal immigrants to D.C. and New York City, saying that, quote, if Biden will not come to the border, we're sending the border to Biden and his administration, end quote. I love the dastardly deed spitefulness of that, but it doesn't actually solve the problem, does it? And it solves the Texas problem. It doesn't solve a national problem. Which, everybody say it with me, friends, what's our favorite B word? No, not that one. Get your head out of the gutter. Balkanization. Yeah. Texas prioritizing Texas above the Union. Interesting. It's an indicator. I know it's an indicator. Simmer down. That's why I brought it up. Even a month ago, the mayors of both areas receiving immigrants complained of overwhelm that they were experiencing. New York City's mayor said, quote, currently, New York City is experiencing a marked increase in the number of asylum seekers who are arriving from Latin America and other regions. In some instances, families are arriving on buses sent by the Texas and Arizona governments, while in other cases, it appears that individuals are being sent by the federal government. In order to both meet the legal mandate as a right to shelter city and provide high-quality shelter and services for those who enter our system, New York City needs additional federal resources immediately, end quote. What you need is a hydrogen bomb and some strategic relocation. There's this funny little story in book Genesis where Sodom and Gomorrah do a whole bunch of whoring and idolatry, and then God comes down to take a look, and he brings a couple of witnesses with him why does he bring witnesses? Because in the mouths of 2 or 3 let a thing be established, and it requires a minimum of 2 witnesses for a death sentence. Ever stop and think about that? No, you didn't. And they go, yeah, this place is all jacked up. Send it, Father Yah. And he's like, roger that. Warheads on foreheads. Boom. I think we're at that stage for New York City, but I digress. That sounds like domestic terrorists advocating for the destruction of modern society. And shut up, Tiffany. Go shit in the litter box. All right. Moving right along, Senator Mark Kelly of Arizona, a Democrat, has been critical of Biden's ending of Title 42, which has previously been used to turn migrants back across the border. He has worked to include a spending bill, $100 million for hiring border agents, and $1.2 billion for processing and management at the border. He said, quote, I think a lot of members of the United States Senate realize that we have this crisis, and unfortunately, some folks on the other side of the aisle politicize it. But then there's the rest of us that just want to find workable solutions that address what the American people need. Okay, Mark Kelly of Arizona, a Democrat. Yeah, partisan politics. Those people on the other side of the aisle are the problem. Vote for me and I'll fix the problem. Vote for me again. I didn't get a chance to fix the problem because those people on the other side of the problem are part of the problem and they wouldn't play ball. I'm just here for the little guy. That's you, right? By the way, donate to my $400 million political advocacy group. Okay. Whatever. Sounds good. You go do that, Senator Mark Kelly. We're going to go continue to jam up people that rape kids. And we'll decide which one's a little bit more important, talking shit or doing stuff. It's not just a financially unsupportable amount of people flooding through the porous border. Illicit drugs are leaching into the country. From just June to July, fentanyl seizures have more than doubled. Mark Morgan was head of the U.S. Customs and Border Protection during the Trump administration, And in his words, quote, "It's undisputed that the leading cause of deaths among adults 18 to 45 is fentanyl, and there were more than 107,000 drug-related overdoses last year in the U.S. What you don't hear from the Biden administration is that 95% of the fentanyl that's killing Americans comes from the wide-open southwest border. How many more people have to die before we say enough is enough and secure our borders?" End quote. I don't know. You gotta be careful with our words right now, because the thought police and the internet Gestapo show up and machine gun you into the ground with thumbs downs and dislikes and algorithm anti-bumps. But the war on drugs, more drugs. War on poverty, more poverty. The Anti-Inflation Act, what do you think that's going to do? Probably more inflation. So we should have we should have a war on freedom. How's that sound? Because that just get us more freedom, right? Like whatever they say they're going to have a war on just gets bigger and there's more of it. So we should have a war on small business. We should have a war on personal responsibility. We should have a war on tax breaks. We should have a war on accountability and spending. We should have a war on those who have sinned unto death and need the rock pile. We should have the war on Bear getting winning Powerball tickets. And a war on coffee and punch signature cigars. First thing in the morning with however many of my friends are here. Let's do the national intel. Oh, right. There's some of y'all that don't like it when I slurp coffee. Hold on. Stand by, Buttercup. One more time. How's that on your earbuds? You like that? You're welcome. I'm gonna survive the end of the world as we know it in my nuclear fallout shelter. Also, I get very perturbed when you sip coffee on the internet. Shut the hell up. Weaklings. Bear Independent bonus intel. Medical. Minnesota Nurses Association has just announced that they are going to strike at almost all the hospitals in northern Minnesota. Hospitals, Fairview, Health Partners, Children's, Aliana, Essential Health, and that's 15,000 nurses, you know. They're doing this in regards to a staffing shortage, supply and resource shortages, and security and physical safety, end quote. At a town not far from me, they're closing their emergency rooms on Mondays and Fridays due to shortages in nursing staff and doctors. This is completely out of the norm out here in Canada. By the way, refugemedical.com. You know that because you're a cool guy or a cool girl. You already know that your promo code is #BearNation. No hashtags, it's just Bear Nation. And you already know that that gets you free shipping. Now you see FedEx now is like, yo, we're going to take gun parts too. Do we need to start a shipping company? Like, what's up? UPS wants to act stupid. Now FedEx wants to act stupid. I don't know. I don't know anymore, boys and girls. I do know that if you don't know how to save a life, you need to go to Refuge Training. If you don't have the freaking kit to save a life with, you need to go to refugemedical.com. Spend some of that hard-earned, worthless fiat currency on something that actually matters, like a freaking first aid kit, not another gun or another, whatever, tactical flip-flops. Made with 100% Chinese nylon tactical flip-flops. Spaceship door gunners worldwide endorse these things. The guy who killed bin Laden was wearing these tactical flip-flops, and it'll drop your reload time by 2 seconds. Shut up. The gimmickry and the advertising on all this crap, it's terrible. Or you could get something that matters. Like 51 people are actually still alive because of, Or tactical flip-flops, whatever. Maybe you got a dad bod at the beach, but it's August. You probably already did that, right? Time to move on. We live in central Iowa, and my in-laws started and run a church community garden. They made a beautiful yellow cart that sits next to the garden and says free produce. They have run this garden for 3 years now and never really had too much interest. Well, that has changed. Within the last few days, people have come into the garden and haphazardly attempted to harvest some of the items. A cabbage plant was pulled completely out of the ground rather than cut. Whole dahlias were pulled out of the ground, and last night potato plants were pulled, but the potatoes not dug. It's clear the person or people don't know what they're doing, but it's also obvious that they're hungry. Our church also has a blessing box for food items, and I do not exaggerate one iota when I say the box is cleared within 30 minutes of being filled. Our town has about 17,000 people, and they are hungry. We are happy people are utilizing the garden, but our heart goes out to these people who are so hungry and obviously don't have any gardening experience or experience with these vegetables. We just hope they're able to cook and eat them. You were so right when you said a few weeks ago people are going to want what gardeners and homesteaders have soon. Yeah, I appreciate you. I don't like being right about any of this. I want to hit the Powerball, buy a couple of yachts, build 5, 6, 12 Caleb houses. I don't know, maybe buy a war horse, get in, get some of that armor and get into that like full contact. Jody, what do they call that shit? Matt probably knows. When you're like fighting like knights now, full contact knight shit? That. Yeah. I want to do some of that. Like that would be fun, right? That'd be a good time. Probably not gonna happen because we're fixing to have a global recession, if not depression. We probably already have one. So I don't like being right about this stuff. I got plans too. I want to grow old with my wife, bounce my grandkids on my knee, do some meaningful stuff while I still have breath in my air and blood in my body, but breath in my lungs rather and blood in my body. But Klaus Schwab and his homies decided, nah, not gonna do that. Somebody called Soros, let's devalue this currency, crash this nation, lock up the whole world. Hey China, how you doing? You need some flu? Here's some flu. All right. Hey Fauci, you got any bats that you want to make deadly? All right, let's do this. All right, Operation Screw the World, go. And then a bunch of people, like billions of people, were like, yes sir, please, may I have another? Absolutely. You may bend me over my entire life and just give it to me in the rear end over and over and over again. I am happy to comply. No, I don't want to go to work. No, I don't want to go to church. I want to do whatever you say that I am allowed to do. By the way, America, freedom, Gadsden flag, AR-15, hashtag come and take it. Yeah, kiss my ass on all of that shit. I don't like being right. Not a fan of where we're at. But we're also not going to get through where we're at if we just stand around and bitch about it, which is why I tell you all the time, don't talk about it, be about it. Like, be part of the solution, not part of the problem. I think it's awesome that that church has a community garden. I think it's sad that people are trying to rob the community garden and they don't even know what they're doing. More garden, more people, get more people involved, bigger garden, security, classes on how to eat a cabbage, how to harvest a cabbage. Hey, those are flowers, don't eat that. That kind of stuff. Like I said, I don't love where we're at, but you know what I love even less? Concentration camps, cattle cars, starvation, rape, theft, murder. Yeah, don't love that stuff at all, not even an iota. Wow, Bear, you're doing a lot of pontificating this morning. Shut up and read the brief. Yeah, I'll do what I want, but you're probably right. Stand by. Security. Many people have submitted intel military-related equipment on the move by roads, rail, and air over the last months. Activity at bases has been noted as unusual by longtime residents. This continues. I live in the Midwest near a large Air Force base, and they have been practicing daily with multiple nighttime exercises. About 2 to 3 months ago, most of the pilots were deployed to Germany, so my assumption is they are getting less experience and newbies trained up. Also, last week, my wife and I saw a train loaded mostly with A1 Abrams tanks. Send it. Let's be friends. Park that thing over there, right there, next to the dump truck. Artillery pieces and some logistics equipment. The train wasn't one of the shorter ones like when the National Guard and Reserves are doing their monthly trainings. This one was over a mile long. That's because they're bringing it to my house. I forgot to tell you guys, I am actually a CIA FBI agent. You caught me, and we're militarizing the CIA FBI now. We need a mile of M1A1s, M1A2s. Is that what they're running now? Yeah. We need a mile of Abrams and a bunch of ammo. Yeah, some Predator drones. all the logistical stuff, field kitchens, you know, water buffaloes, fuel tankers, all that. We're going hard. We're going hard in eastern Oklahoma. Like, we're going to take over everything. Yep, I want all the single wide meth trailers. Those are ours now. All the piles of old tires, we're taking those as well. By force if necessary, I'm coming for your piles of old tires. Random dogs running down the road, don't stand a chance. 120 millimeter smooth bore. Yep. Sorry, I pontificate. I was driving on I-75 outside Chattanooga, Tennessee, and I passed a convoy of about 12 to 15 military transport semi-trucks. Each of them had intermodal containers on the back. Normally this wouldn't be a concern, but the containers had multiple hazmat placards. It depends on what hazmat is. Get the DOT book and learn what the placards are, because there's lots of stuff that's considered hazmat that ain't hazmat, right? Like diesel over 100 gallons has to have I think it's a 1993 placard hanging on it. That's technically hazmat. It's also diesel that runs your truck. So, like, before, and maybe you're right, maybe there's nuclear, biological, chemical, maybe there's aliens in the back of there. It's possible that there are aliens in the intermodal containers. It's also possible that you just go to the DOT website and look up what the placards are, and then they'll tell you, like, CO2 in canisters has to be placarded. So, just saying. Yeah, with the same stuff that you expel every time you breathe. From what I could tell, they had the explosive symbols and colors throughout the convoy, big orange diamonds among others. They're also moving a bunch of hardware via train, as were multiple Humvees and other large equipment on flatbed cars. The trucks were headed northbound on 75. I didn't stay to count as I was driving under a train bridge, but from a glance, it was a long set of rail cars with equipment. I know y'all are aware of the uptick in activity, but this is the first time I've seen convoys of explosives and hazmat material being transported. Also, just because everyone seems to be reporting lack of semi-traffic in the area, there is no lack of big semi-trucks. There seems to be maybe one truck for every 5 cars on the road. BT Dubs, if you want your intel on the brief, it's intel@bearindependent.com. You send it to the Dance Monkeys. The Dance Monkeys chew it up, spit it out, send it to me. I talk to you about it. Intel@bearindependent.com. Okay, Bear, sounds good. All right, good talk, guys. I live in a town of 75,000 people in southwest Missouri. GTFO, 75,000 people. That's more people than live in my county. In 2018, our town reduced the funding to the local police force, foolishly announcing in the newspapers and online that the police were being defunded before that became a thing, and letting citizens, including any criminals paying attention, know what crimes the police would not be investigating due to the reduced force. Recently, the city brought to a vote a proposal to add more police and firemen to the city. Imagine that, to be paid for by the citizens through a property tax. The average home's property tax would increase by $400 a year. The proposal did not pass by roughly a 56 to 44 vote. Property crime continues to be the main aggravating crime here, partly due to the increase in homeless people and drug use, particularly meth, though violent crime is beginning to increase as well. Earlier this year, 3 police officers were shot in the line of duty, with 2 of them dying, the first time this has happened in almost 20 years. We are trying to find property a good distance from the city to purchase, but the area is flooding with people moving here from Texas, California, and other areas, driving up the prices and making it harder to find and buy land. I understand you should 100% strategically relocate. I've also been saying for the last year or so, the window of opportunity is closing. It's not closed, but it's closing, because of the devaluation of the dollar and the increase in cost of raw commodities as well as land. I've been saying for 5 years you should relocate. Other people have been saying it for 10 or 15 years you should relocate. And you didn't. A lot of people didn't, because they just continued to whore and babble on, oh, it'll be okay, I'll get out before it's too late. Nope. Like Lot's wife turning back and looking and turning into a pillar of salt. I help give practical app courses at a local range when I can. A friend of mine and fellow instructor who works there more regularly reported that both USPS and the IRS have begun sending their agents with their own instructors during the middle of the week to do basic and practical app courses as well. This started around 6 to 8 months ago. I believe if you take the number of rounds of ammo that the IRS has purchased and divide it by the number of agents that they have, it's less than the number of rounds I have in this magazine. So, now, does that mean that every agent is going to get armed with a sidearm? Hell, I don't know. I do know I have more ammo in this truck than most of y'all have in your stockpile. So everything's relative, right? And the federal government has more ammo in their stockpile than I could ever dream of. Trillions of rounds, probably. Which again, when you're bringing the Abrams and the intermodal containers full of high explosives to Bear Camp, swing by the depot, pick us some belt feds and, I don't know, 4 or 5 semi-loads of ammo, be fine. And tarps, we got to tarp it. And some HQ tents while we're at it, and a dozer, D8, and a D6, one of each. A track hoe, wheel loader, motor grader. What am I missing? Generators would be good. And a plasma and an Xbox. All right. Some intel was submitted from a global company that has operations in Shanghai. The graphs cannot translate here, but the gist is the government there is enacting power restriction measures to combat the massive energy draws amid sweltering temperatures, which result in massive factory slowdowns. That's good. Made in China, not doing so great right now. Next, I live near the rail tracks and have been hearing 50% fewer trains now versus 6 months before. I work at a trailer manufacturer plant, and we're having a harder and harder time obtaining the materials to fulfill orders. Hearing that stainless steel and mild steel is more difficult to get than aluminum currently, which the number of orders has been decreasing steadily in the last 6 months. Normally 150 to 200 a month, and now 40 to 100 is the average. We currently have almost 400 trailers in process, just waiting on parts to be completed sitting in the yard. We're also running the plant with 40% less employees than before the pandemic, which is slightly a good thing because it makes the parts and materials we do have last longer since it takes longer to build the trailers. An odd thing I have seen in the short supply in my area is socks. That is unacceptable. No extra socks. Is there even water in your canteen? What are we doing here? Socks. There's a company, I make no money by telling you this, but I like them. There's a company called Covert Threads. They have excellent socks. I'm wearing a pair of Covert Threads uniform socks right now. They rock. And when I rock every morning, I have Covert Threads socks inside of my boots. And I first became aware of them because a Marine buddy of mine said, "Yo, dude, put these socks on." And I was like, "Ew, I don't want to wear your socks." And he's like, "Fine, then get your own." And so I did, and I bought a pair and another pair and a half a dozen more pairs. And then I sent him an email one day and I was like, "Yo, your socks are the cat's pajamas. Just wanted to let you know, XOXO, Bear from the internet." And they were like, "Yo, Bear from the internet, thanks for liking our socks. You want some more socks?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, I can't say no to more socks." And so they sent me like another half a dozen pairs. And so more than 50% of the Covert Threads socks I paid for. I would happily pay for more of them. They're incredible. So if you need a pair of socks, Covert Threads. And more than half of you are going to go there and you're going to look at the price and be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't pay that for a pair of socks." Well, out of one side of your mouth, while on the other side of your mouth, I'm like, "We got to make this country make it great again. We got to take it back. We got to stand up for what's right. Freedom, America." Okay, then buy American stuff. Well, I can't. It's too expensive. Then shut the hell up about everything else. Wow, Bear, you're in a mood this morning. I'm me today. All right, moving right along. Yellow Trucking, formerly known as YRC Freight, owns YRC, Redaway, New Penn, and Holland trucking companies. This combination makes us the largest LTL company in the US. Last week, it was announced that between the central Midwest and West Coast, we are closing 50 plus terminals. The info on the East Coast closures hasn't been disclosed yet. We have already been working on a project to eliminate about 2,000 tractors, count not model year, when they told us about the 50 terminals. And then on Monday, I received a call to start parking some of our line haul or long run tractors due to the decrease in freight. I manage about 21 terminals total. Hopefully this will give you an idea of the scale of what I'm talking about. In my experience, dramatic slowdowns in trucking are generally felt by the public at large within about 3 to 6 months after we see it. Usually this shows up as product shortages and price increases to the consumer. Understanding that there are significant shortages already, it's hard to say how this is going to play out. Get the stuff you want now, whether it's a homestead or solar or batteries or more ammo or a bare fac or socks or whatever you're into. Get it now. Get it now. Get it now. And then again, I'll say it again, support American small businesses. Maybe even start an American small business. I could never do that. You could never start a business, but you got the balls to bitch about everybody else that has. That's interesting. You ever stopped and thought about that? So my wife goes to the pantry once a month for her mom to help offset her food costs. She's insurance poor. Most of her retirement funds goes to insurance and other medical expenses. Every little bit helps. My wife was given a note by the pantry staff that states there's a reduction in food distributions because of supply chain issues. But that is now possible to visit another distribution location for second distribution, now allowed by harvesters. Sounds like more folks are in need. Also a good reason for the rest of us to take care of our health so that we're not in the same position as we age. I work for a machine and fabrication business. I have the privilege of dealing with many customers from food to automotive to cement. We had the opportunity of manufacturing an elevator shaft for a large cement company. I delivered it to one of their terminals. While I was able to talk with the workers, they are fairly certain that once the new Intel plant construction really kicks off and they and their competitors will run out of cement. Of course, this will be mostly short term. I would think all this to say, if people in Ohio or close areas of neighboring states are hesitating on a project involving cement, do it. I'm not totally certain how this will affect something like Quikrete in a store, but I wouldn't want to wait around and find out. Cement. Cement is limestone that's cooked in a kiln, ground up, cooked in a kiln, comes out. And Portland cement, #1 polluter in the world when it comes to carbon emissions, by a long shot. 80% of it's manufactured in China and comes across in cargo ships to the United States. The stuff that comes from China isn't as good as the stuff that comes to the United States and elsewhere, but they had the massive production capability to be able to flood the markets with cheap Chinese cement. And frankly, it's not as good as the stuff we make here, but it's still plenty good. It still gets rock solid. It's freaking cement. So you have a supply chain issue, a distribution issue, and a demand issue all going on at the same time with cement. How do I know? I used to put up wind turbines, and it takes approximately 660 yards per turbine. That's approximately 66 concrete trucks, and do one in the morning, one in the afternoon. Yeah, do the math on that. It's a lot of concrete. And by the way, cement, it's not a cement truck, it's a concrete truck. A cement truck brings dry cement that offloads into a silo. A concrete truck carries concrete, and there's 4 ingredients minimum in concrete: sand, stone, cement, the powder, and water. Okay, now you know. Vernacular. I purchased a wood-burning stove from a supplier of stoves yesterday. Just in general conversation, he said that I got the last one of the cheaper models he had, and that he only had 3 or 4 of his expensive models left because he has been selling them like crazy. I told him that I had been building a place in the Ozarks and that's what I needed it for, and he looked at me like he had seen a ghost. And he said, that's what everyone has said. To which I replied, everyone is getting ready for a civil war. I should mention that this guy came to the US from Albania in 2020. Anyways, his eyes welled up and he said, I know, I've seen this before. This is so sad what these people in government is doing. Then he said, Americans won't fight against what's going on, and we are so stupid because if the United States falls, there's nowhere else to go. We talked for a little while longer, and to me it was obvious he was in shock. I think he suddenly realized that he needed to get a backup plan going or something. Ooh. You see the Fed boys are trying to come for the FRT giggle switches now. You know why? Because you initiate an attack or raid with your most casualty causing weapon. And for civilians, yeah, just saying. Anyway, that's the damn brief. We got stuff to do today. I gotta go play on a track hoe. You gotta do some water stuff and some other stuff and blah, 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 blah. Listen, I appreciate y'all, even though I'm a little extra spicy this morning. refugemedical.com. Promo code is Bear Nation. You get 10% off everything in the store. Everything qualifies for HSA and FSA other than the bucket opener for the wound care bucket and Pastor Joe's book. Other than that, if it's an actual medical item, which the vast majority of our store is, it is health savings account and flexible spending account eligible. Everything in the store. Wound care bucket, birthing bucket, postpartum bucket, stomp bag, bear fac, arc, small the back kit, crash kit, smash kit, adventure kit, Turna kit, whatever it is. It's all there. We're like mostly in stock right now. Praise y'all and good job, team. So, if you want to not die, refugemedical.com. Use Bear Nation as your promo code. Refuge Training. If you don't know shit about shit when it comes to medical, refugetraining.com. Come to class. We got classes in Dallas and Waco right now. Boise's full. Praise y'all. Boise's full. You need to know how to do this stuff. It's not intuitive. You're not going to just stumble upon it one day when you need it, and then you're going to take your cheap Chinese tourniquet that you bought for $10 off of Amazon, which is going to break when you put it on wrong on your wife if she's bleeding out from a laceration to her femoral artery in a car accident that you thought you'd never get in, and then you're going to be standing there wondering what the hell, where did I go wrong? You bought cheap shit and you didn't train with it. That's where you went wrong. refugetraining.com. Be the first responder. That's what we teach. That's why it's called Responder 1, Responder 2, Responder 3. Okay? Okay, Bear. All right, good talk. Lastly, Grindstone Ministries. Y'all are badass. Thank you for supporting us in what we do. The building of Caleb House Restoration Facility for juvenile human trafficking survivors. Ongoing right now. Additionally, we've still got like dozens of people in our care currently that have already been rescued or in the process of being rehabilitated. That's an expensive, stressful, involved endeavor in of itself, and the fact that the Father has seen fit to give us people before we built our facility has been, we might have got the horse before the cart on this one, but we weren't going to say no. We weren't going to say, you just stay right there and continue to get serially raped. Just give me a few months until I build a building that I can put you in. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. You just continue to take it every day. I know you're just a little kid. No big deal. Just hang in there, sweetie. I'm waiting on the track hoe to get here. We were like, no, F that S. Yes, we're going. And so thank you to every one of you who prays over that ministry, for every one of you that donates to that ministry, to every one of you has plugged into that ministry. We need plumbing supplies right now. We need wire, big wire for electrical, and we need septic design and material. We have one of y'all already who's stepped up for the materials, like the leach field materials. Question on the tank, but we may need a pump as well. So if you're a septic guy and or you design septic systems, admin at grindstoneministries.com. If you have plumbing supplies or electrical supplies, and I mean like 4-aught wire, 3 and 4 inch schedule 80 pipe, sweeps and elbows, PEX, 1-inch PEX, crimp connectors, all that, DWV pipe, all that. If you have that stuff and you'd like to donate it, admin at grindstoneministries.com. I love y'all. thank you for dealing with me, even though I know I'm an asshole and I'm a little extra today. So I'm out. We got to go to work. I'm 15 minutes behind, which is not something I enjoy being. So y'all have a blessed day. Shalom.